Ohio, everybody. Hello. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to episode 4 of Ryo Mondays. I am Ep today. How about all of you? Ryo Mondays are so funny because they're Ryo Tuesdays to me. Happy time zones. Happy time zones. Oh my gosh, we're gonna try and keep today's episode to 2 hours for real. I know every episode is supposed to be 2 hours and they're always 3 hours. We're gonna try and keep today to 2 hours. So I actually have an appointment today. I'm gonna go get my prescription updated at some point today. I forgot the last time I went to get my prescription updated for my eyes. I'm gonna get some new spectacles, new glasses, and I'm probably gonna get contacts again too. I'm gonna go get my eyes checked out after this. Ryo Tuesdays gang represent. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, whatever your time zone is. I appreciate it. So this week, the theme was advice. Ronin advice. Does it really have to do much with being a Ronin? Not really. Mostly if you just want advice from this guy who's seen and done a lot. That was the theme. So thank you everyone for submitting your questions. My part of needs you can't see, yeah. Very much so part of needs you can't see, unfortunately. I can't wait for the eye examiner to just be absolutely shocked by how terrible my vision is. Ryo Megane. Ooh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, let's switch over. Let's get this party started so we can try and keep it to 2 hours today. What do you say? All right. How's the... Also, shout out to Mane-san. She was like, hey, have you considered adding background music for Ryo Mondays? She's like, I really like your Ryo Monday streams, but have you also considered adding background music? I'm like, I hadn't thought of that. How's the volume level? Is it okay? Can you hear me? Is it too loud? Or is it just right? Press X to doubt. Ain't no way. It's good. Sounds good. Perfect. All right, cool. All right, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so now we have... I made a whole new dedicated scene in OBS, and it's got a little BGM as well. Yippee, let's go. So yeah, so like I said, for this episode, I just said the general theme was just advice. Whatever advice you're looking for, ask me some questions and I'll see what I can do. So let's get started. All right. Sorry if this has been asked before, but how do you manage stress from work? Like, I get so stressed at work, and after work, I just want to lay down and sleep, and when I wake up, it's time to work again. I'm just so burnt out, but I don't have the luxury to quit. Gotta pay them bills. Real. This is so real. It's not even funny. Man, yeah, oh boy, this is so real. Work is brutal. I remember I had this one job where I had to commute. My commute would take at least an hour, but most days it would take, especially like peak rush hour, because I had to travel so far for it. I sometimes would spend like, and this is one way. It's a commute at least an hour one way into work and then back, but some days it would be an hour and a half to 2 hours. So like I'd have to get up super early, be in my car, sit in rush hour for a really long time, do my work there, drive another hour to 2 hours home with my work laptop, and then sometimes have to get home, open up the laptop, grind out a little bit more work, and then go to bed. And that was brutal, man. So everybody who's on the work grind, everyone's on the paying the bills grind, I salute you. It's tough. I hated my life during that time. And the thing for me, and if you, I mean, you're already, it sounds like you're already at that burnout stage, which again, totally valid. I hear you. The thing that's going to be hard, but maybe can help start getting you stepped in the right direction is like breaking down like the steps for anything else that you want to do with your time when you're finally not at work and you're finally at home. Because like the thing that sucks about this state is where you get home and you're like, I really want to do something other than, you know, work, eat, sleep. But even anything you like think about anything and you're like, it's just too daunting, I'm just gonna lay down and pass out. So like you have to sort of make whatever it is that you want to do seem less daunting, and the way that you can potentially help do that is like you actually have to break that down into steps, which is stupid because like your recreational activities that are just for you should not have to feel like work in that sense where you have to like parse things out. But sometimes that's just what you have to do. You just got to make little steps bite-sized, because if you think about something as a whole, it can just be, it can, your brain will be like, nope, that's too much. Like it's too hard to do whatever. Even the thing that's supposed to be fun is too hard. Like it's too big of a hurdle to get started to do it. So find a way to break whatever it is you want to do down into like little bite-sized steps. You can be like, okay, well first I'll do this, and that's really like achievable, and then I'll do this, and then that's a little achievable, and then I'll do this, and then that kind of like will help you sort of it might help you sort of start to like approach it, because yeah, you may have experienced that where you get home, you're tired from work, and you're like, I really want to do this. You're just like, but it just sounds like too much effort. I'm just gonna go lay down. Yeah, exactly, into the lowest commitment. Yeah, you have to break it down into like super low commitment, super easy to do steps, whatever that involves. What's it called? There's like a saying too, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. It's something like it's gonna sound weird. It's like something like swallow the elephant first or something. That's another thing you could try, is where this is just a habit building thing, but when you have stuff that's like broken down into either parts or tasks that you have to do for the day, like do the hardest one first and just make yourself do it. And if you can do that consistently, that helps when you have that sort of mental burnout. If you've already done the hardest part multiple times, you know, oh, is it eat the frog? Yeah, eat the frog. There you go. That's one. Yeah, so eat the frog. Eat the frog first. That kind of helps you mentally get into that mindset of like, okay, I've done the hardest thing repeatedly and I can do it again here. So when you get home and you're like, I just want to do something relaxing, or that's just for me, that's not work related, but oh, it just seems so daunting, but I've already eaten the frog multiple times, you know, this week already or whatever. It's kind of the same thing as like the ice cold shower thing that I was doing. It's kind of like how when you wake up and if you just do the ice cold shower, it's gonna freaking suck. You're gonna not want to do it. You're gonna absolutely hate the idea of it, but you do it first thing no matter what. You just force yourself to do it, and if you're able to do that repeatedly, everything else in the day kind of seems a little bit easier. Just a little, even if it's just a little bit easier, that could be helpful. Right? Because at this point in your life, when you're super burned out from work, you're literally just min-maxing. You know, like no one wants to be. You don't want to be like microing everything, but you are like min-maxing. So like even doing something like ice cold shower, you don't even have to do 60 seconds. Like if you just step into an ice cold shower for like 10 seconds and then you turn the water to hot, maybe. Even the like 10 seconds of like ice cold thing, because you didn't want to do that, that was you eating the frog for the day. So then every other thing, whenever you come to a task at work, you're like, I don't want to do this part of my assignment, but I already did that really hard thing, so I can do this too. When you get home and you're like, I just want to relax, but I don't even know if I have the energy to like, you know, put on a show, like find a show to put on. It's like, but I already ate the frog today. Or that could be you eating the frog. as well. Because sometimes you just have to like start the activity, and then once you start the activity, it becomes easier to do. It's usually just the starting the activity part that is the hardest, in my opinion, at least, or at least in my experience battling my own mental, you know? So again, yeah. And even if, again, if it's something like, even if you're finding yourself where you're like, I would really love to play a game, or I'd really love to watch a show, but my mental just doesn't let me engage with that because I'm so burned out from work that I just end up going to bed. It's like, try to break that down into steps, however that helps. So it could be like, okay, literally your checklist of steps is like, go sit on the couch. Like, this is how you like mentally parse it out for you to make it more digestible, so that you don't just go, oh, no, it's too hard, and then I go lay down. So you'd be like, okay, step 1, just go sit on the, walk over. Step 2, sit on the couch. Step 3, pick up the remote. Step 4, turn on the TV. Step 5, open up whatever like the app is that you're gonna watch, YouTube, Netflix, whatever. Step 6, like go to my favorites, my watch list. You know, step 7, find that show. Step 8, press play. Step 9, just sit there and enjoy it. You know, it could be something like that. So you just take that act of like watching a show and you literally just break it down into like individual components, and then that makes it a little, it might, and this is different for everybody, but it might help make it a little bit more approachable. But yeah, that's off the top of my head what I think of, and this is like kind of how I remember like trying to get through that. And you could also do something where you literally like write it out in your schedule, where it's like, I'm going to give myself 1 hour. That is, I put the work laptop away, and that is just like, that is always gonna be my time to do something that's not work related for the day, because you need that. Like, you really need like, yeah, that cycle, it's really easy to get locked in that cycle of like wake up, go to work, come home, eat something, go to bed, wake up, do it again. Like, it's really easy. It's so hard these days, it's crazy. So yeah, again, salute to everybody on the work grind. It's tough out there, but take care of yourselves, and hopefully those are maybe some tips that you hadn't thought of that hopefully help you kind of find a way for you that works, so that you can get a little bit more you time and a little more mental, you know, unwinding into your days. Thank you for your question. Hey Ryoma, any advice on how to learn a new skill? Usually get super overwhelmed with the number of things I have to learn and end up quitting. Anyway, I love to listen to your RyoMondays while I'm driving. Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, no. So for skills, again, it's a similar thing. So first of all, the number I've always thought of, and this is, I've always thought of it in terms of like gaming, but this could apply to like other aspects of life, is that it takes like 100 hours for you to become proficient at anything, really. Ow, sorry. I was trying to reach over, turn on my fan. Like, don't judge yourself harshly on anything until you've sunk like 100 hours into it. Like, for games, for example, you're not going to become a decent player at any new game until you've played it for 100 hours. So same things going with any sort of like new skill in life, whether that's, I don't know what you're talking about, like skill wise. It could be something like singing, it could be something like art, you know, anything really. Just remember not to be hard on yourself until you've sunk at least 100 hours into it. It's really easy for people, like, we live in such an instant gratification world, where, and short attention span world, and all these things, and the expectation that we put on ourselves unrealistically is that you're supposed to be really good at everything right away. Because what we see on like social media and through influencers and everything is everyone always shows like how fast and how proficient they are at something and how quickly they pick it up, and plenty of times that's not exactly like really truly representative of what the process is, because, you know, on social media people are always just trying to show their good side, and usually people are, you know, sometimes the truth is a little bit skewed as well. But the problem with that is that it instills this expectation in all of our minds that like you have to be really good at something. So like, don't try anything unless you're going to be good at it. First of all, that's like one problem, is like, don't even try it unless you're going to be good. And it's like, you can't really know if you're going to be good at it until you try it, really. So it's backwards. And then again, it's the expectation that you're gonna pick something up and instantly become super good at. And part of it's also, it's like, here's a super easy, here's how to do this in 5 steps. And then so if you can't do it in like the 5 steps 60-second video that you saw, you're like, well, I must not be good enough to do this thing, so I might as well not try. You know what I mean? And that's like, you got like that, you got tricked by content, because like as a creator, someone's gonna take a thing that normally is a very skillful task and takes long hours to develop a skill for, and is gonna compress it down into like 6 easy steps for a video. Whether or not it's actually true that you could do something, like maybe it's a recipe, or maybe it's like how to, you know, again, how to sing, how to draw, whatever, how to play this game. They're doing it for content. It doesn't matter whether or not it's entirely wholly representative of what that journey is like or accurate. They're just making a piece of content for views, and then it tricks you into thinking that it should be that easy for you. Oh, well, it must be this easy for everybody. It must be easy for this person and everybody else who watches this video. So my expectation for myself is that it must be easy for me too. And then when you actually encounter that the thing is realistically not that easy, you get frustrated and you're like, well, okay, I must suck. But realistically, it's not actually your fault or the problem. So just try to be a little bit mindful and aware that like we live in this very like, you know, this world of like media and content that's always bombarding us and convincing us that everybody around us is super capable and everybody is picking up things really fast and everything should be way easier, and that you should get it right away, and if you don't get it right away, then you're not going to be good enough to do it, so why even bother? We have like, we're constantly being like bombarded with like, you know, sort of misrepresentations and misinformation. So remember to be kind to yourself. Remember that nobody is like born like that talented or that skilled. The other thing I would say is when you are trying to learn a new skill, kind of similar how to like, I was just talking about breaking down doing something in the steps. When you're trying to learn something, try to break it down into little milestones. So like, for example, when I am trying to learn like a new skill in like a game like Apex or something, like when I'm trying to pick something up, I will break that down into little things and focus like step by step, like piece by piece. And I'll just sort of like keep bashing my head against one part until I feel like pretty competent at it. And then I'll move on to the next thing. So for example, like with movement tech that I do in like Apex, so like lurch strafes, like lurch strafe bunny hop chains, for example. This is gonna sound really weird to anyone who doesn't know what that is, but that is basically the type of movement that lets you chain together different pieces of movement tech. So for here, let's just do this. I'm trying to draw it really fast. So like what I'm talking about is like in Apex, there's stuff called bunny hopping, which just lets you just chain a bunch of jumps together, right? There's things called lurch strafes, which let you change direction midair. So usually a lurch strafe, if this is me, you know, a lurch strafe is something like a Roz strafe, which makes you go like this direction, and then midair you change directions and go back the other way, right? Or you go like this, or you go like this, or you go like this. Realistically, it looks more like a hook. And those are individually like hard pieces of tech. And then there's something called lurch strafe, like and then you can chain them together, like you're combining two pieces. So what if you ever watch me play and you actually have an eye for it, like I'll do things like I'll do a lurch strafe into a bunny hop into another lurch strafe, and then, you know, maybe bunny hop here and then cut back and then go back. And like this kind of thing is really, really hard and requires a bunch of individual different pieces of tech with really, really like minute like timings that you have to nail in order to like not break the chain at certain points. You know what I mean? And so when I was learning this kind of thing, and you have to do it while fighting too, right? You have to do it while shooting, you know, at someone as well, and like aiming. And so when I was trying to learn how to do all this together, it was really frustrating at first because like I couldn't do everything all together. Like I could maybe like do like the lurch while shooting, but then I would frick up the part right here that allowed me to chain it into another one to go the other way. because if you miss this timing, then the whole thing falls apart, and so on and so forth. So like I was just failing as a whole, and so what I basically was like, okay, I'm just not even gonna worry about doing it all together. Like I'm just gonna literally log on for the day and play for however many hours I play that day, like 4 hours, and all I'm gonna care about is like making sure when I fight, I focus on like doing this part in like every fight. Like open up the fight with a what we call a raw strafe, with one lurch strafe, right? And just keep doing that until I can do it consistently. Because like what would happen is I'd, you know, there'd be an enemy and they'd start shooting at me, and I would panic and I would forget to even do this at all. So it was like today, whenever I encounter anybody, I'm going to just make sure every single time I just do this, right? That's my goal, is to make sure I'm doing this, until eventually I was doing that pretty regularly, just naturally. And then it was like, okay, now when I'm doing this, I'm just gonna like try to do one, and I'm gonna try to remember to shoot back while I do it and hit my target, right? You know? And then so you do that, right? And then eventually you're like, okay, and then I want to make sure that I can chain it into another Raz going back the other way, you know? And then that's like a whole entire day of playing, you know, is make sure that I can do this part while shooting, and then do this part and nail that timing where the transition happens, like right here, right? And you just break things down in the steps like that, and then it's like, okay, and then I want to make sure, you know, and truly, like a Raz train looks like this. And it's very easy to kind of, you can also make a figure 8, and it's kind of very easy to do like just this. This is, once you kind of learn the tech, a lot of people just kind of go back and forth like this. The problem with this is this is really predictable, because if you're just doing this, all someone has to do is shoot straight down the middle, and at some point, even if they can't track you going out here and cutting back, which is usually what throws people's aim off, if they just shoot straight down the middle, you'll eventually at some point be in the path of their bullets, like right here. So then it was like, okay, so I gotta learn to do this and make my thing unpredictable. So instead of cutting back again here, we do a bunny hop and keep like bias strafing out here, and then we'll do like one cut back here, and then continue the bias strafe out this way, and blah 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 blah. But anyway, the point being that you just have to like break it down into parts for anything. Break it down into steps, and like remember to pat yourself on the back for the little victories along the way. If you try and just say, hey, you're like, hey, I want to be here, and then I'm gonna be here, boom, you're gonna be frustrated. So just break it down into parts. You're like, here, and then I want to be like 10% proficient, 20% proficient, blah blah blah. Like set little realistic milestone goals along the way, and give yourself pats on the back. Don't focus on the whole, focus on the little individual parts. And then also, again, remember that like our perception of like everyone around us in society is that everybody's super good and super fast at learning things, and the reality is like it's just people misrepresenting. People aren't showing you the process or the struggles or the journey. Nobody really wants to show that. Everybody just wants to show how good they are at something. And so I think we're a lot harder on ourselves these days than we realistically should be. Best of luck in whatever you're trying to pick up. Thank you for the question. I'm here for cat wisdom. Can you ask your cats about meow? When meow mew, what should I do about the mew me meow meow? Do you hear that, Lady Ryonyan and Sir Ryonyan? Meow mew. Should they do about mew meow 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 meow? They're not taking questions right now. They're laying in bed next to me in their cat tower. They are cuddling in their cat tower. They are not taking questions right now. Sorry. Maybe better luck next time. Hola, Ryoshi. Hola. Buenos dias. I need some pet advice. I'm thinking of getting my first cat, but I'm kind of afraid of how my dog will react. She's really shy, but very protective at the same time. I don't want my cat to be afraid of her or them always fighting. Should I just wait, or should I take the risk? I think it kind of depends. I could be wrong about this because I have not had cats and dogs at the same time, but I don't think that's a very uncommon thing. I think I've seen lots of households that have both types of animals, right? I would say it would probably be harder if you had the cat first, right? Because cats can be super territorial. Like I remember because I had Sir Ryonyan before I had Lady Ryonyan, and I had to go through that like week-long process of like acclimating him to her when she came into the house. And that's like a very common thing. You can ask cat owners where if they have one cat and then they get another cat, unless they're like babies, like both are babies at the time. If like you have a cat that's already just sort of like a little bit older or self-aware or whatever, like they will be like, what? Who is this encroaching on my turf? This is not cool. So I think it'd be harder if you had a cat first. But I feel like dogs, and I could be wrong about this because I haven't really owned dogs myself, but like I have to imagine that dogs are maybe a little bit like more curious and more maybe less territorial. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like I've known many like dog plus cat households growing up or seen it online. So certainly there's probably information out there where you can like ask like if like what people's experiences with having a dog and then trying to bring a cat in have been, and then they might have advice for you as well. Because like, yeah, you say that she's really shy but very protective at the same time. Like, is she protective against other animals, or is she protective against like people? Because there are plenty of dogs who are like protective against strangers. Like they recognize that other humans are potentially like a threat. So they're protective of their owners against that, but they might not necessarily feel that way towards like a small animal. It also depends, I think, on the age of the cat that you bring in. Like it's very possible that like animals have this really kind of amazing innate understanding of like when something's a baby, you know, they're very careful with it. Like you can put like a human child, like you like my cats, for example, anytime they've been around like someone else's like baby, they're like very different. Like they can just like sense, it's really weird, but they're just like, oh, this thing is very like small and fragile. So I had to imagine maybe if you get like a smaller cat or like a baby cat, maybe the dog might not be super aggressive towards it. I don't know, again. But yeah, just be prepared for like, for cats, for example, it can be like up to a week, maybe even 2 weeks or longer sometimes for them to like get adjusted to each other. So like, if you decide to do it, just be prepared that like there's a possibility that your household might feel really tense for like a week or something, for them to get acclimated. But then after that point, usually they're fine, at least with cats. What I had to do, and what a lot of people recommend, is that you keep them separated for like that week-long periods. But so you keep one of them. So for example, you would keep your cat in like a specific room just to itself. And like you would give that cat in that room like its own space. You could get like a small child's like playpen or something, or just a large crate or something. Kind of keep it in there for a day. And what that will allow you to do is like let your dog smell the cat through the door in that room, and get used to its scent. And then you could take it out of that like area or crate or playpen, or you can even just use it from day one, but just have it in the room, and then they can smell each other from underneath the door. You have like that barrier between them, so they can't like be aggressive towards each other physically, but they can like they will smell each other through the door and sort of get used to that, and kind of like, you know, be like, what the heck is that thing? And you just like keep them separated for about a week and let them just sort of like interact, but with that barrier, so that they both feel safe. And then, you know, then you can start having some time outside the room together, like in the same room, but like you should always be there to monitor that. Like it's like monitored playtime basically. And kind of get a sense of the vibes, like, and you'll kind of know, like you'll probably want to like hold one of them at least, like the dog or the cat, and just so they can't like suddenly jump one of the other ones. So keep them like close and see how, like, try to read their body language and see if they're being aggressive or not. And let them like just slowly introduce them like physically, like in person. So like maybe a half an hour at a time or an hour at a time, and sort of build up that time together. And then if the vibes seem really fine, then, you know, you're like, okay, cool. Like I can kind of like just let you be for the entire day together. But just try to monitor that time. But yeah, just don't leave them alone, at least for a while, for a few days, until you really are sure that the vibes are fine. But definitely don't just like straight out of the gate pick up a new animal and then bring it into your home and then just like boom, out of the box, here's a new animal in the family, and just have that be their first interaction from the get-go, because that might be really traumatic for both of them and might result in like fighting or something. So that's my suggestion as well. At least that's how I do it with cats, and the process with dog and cat might be similar, but I'm not sure. I don't know if you guys can hear that bird chirping in the back, but I got a new toy for the cats the other day. It's like a little flapping bird. Whenever they mess with it, it like chirps and flaps its wings, and Sir Ryonon really likes it. Playing with it right now. Thank you for your question, by the way. Best of luck. How do I deal with college? I'm currently in my junior year and I'm so overwhelmed right now when the semester just started. I hated college. Just remember, this is only my opinion. You're asking someone who was not the best student. I may not be book smart. I may not be a smart man. But the thing from my personal perspective is that, like, school, to use the words college and junior year, I'm gonna assume that you're in the American schooling system and not like from other regions, like, because other people call it like uni and stuff. I'm gonna assume, because, you know, in America we have college and like freshman, junior, senior, or wait, it was freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, for the 4 levels, for the 4 years. My perspective is that, like, certainly everybody, your family members and your other friends who are your age going through it, are going to think that college is like this really end all be all thing, because that's like the narrative that's really pushed, and it's like arguably the most determining years of your life. My personal take on that, and again, this is not probably, just again, remember, you're taking advice from a guy who's like anime on the internet now, right? But so just keep that in mind. Let me just frame that. I don't think that it's really truly overall that important. In so much as people like to make a really, at least the generation that my parents come from, like to really make a huge deal about college and your education, but that's because their perspective, their experience for their generation, that did kind of hold, that narrative held pretty true. Like, you went to college and you did well, and how well you did really kind of determined how well you were set up. You know, they had the like ideal journey of like, you went to school, you did well, you got a degree that landed you a really steady, well-paying job, which transitioned into you being able to buy a home. Nobody can buy a home these days. Like, buy a home, start a family, feed your family really comfortably while you do your job that you earned, you know, with your degree from college. And like, that is not in today's day, that is not the experience of people. Like, very rarely is that actually the life path that like people get to experience. So there's this, but it's the narrative still hangs over all of us that like college, like that's like college is going to determine how well you are set up in life, and like that's the major determining factor. I personally don't think that's true. Like, you might feel this immense pressure to perform really well in college, and I'm making assumptions here, but I might assume that might be why you feel overwhelmed, is because you feel this pressure to perform. And it's like, truly, your grades, they matter to an extent, but they don't really matter that much, right? A lot of what your degree is used in a lot of ways these days is just a filter. They don't care what your grades were or how well you were or how many days you showed up to attendance. They just care that you have the diploma. They just care that you have the degree, right? Because plenty of jobs just will use automation to just screen applicants out based on, it's literally yes or no. Do you have a diploma or not? And if you don't, then you might not be considered at all. They just don't even, you just don't even pass that step of the like review process. Versus if you have a degree, then you get to maybe get considered and they'll look more deeply at your answers and things like that. So in my opinion, it's kind of like, just do what you need to do just to get the piece of paper. And then a lot of it after that isn't even necessarily how skilled you are at the thing. It's how well you write and how well you interview. Like, how convincing can you be on an application and in an interview that you can do the thing that they're hiring for? Like, truthfully, it comes down to more about like how persuasive and convincing you are than how good your grades are in school and how much you showed up for class. There's this saying, you know, that and if it, like, the next job, like if I did another like office job, 9 to 5 kind of deal or whatever, I would probably adopt this mentality. There's a saying, right? It's like, they're gonna pay me just enough that I don't quit, so I'm gonna only work hard enough to not get fired. And if I were flung back into college right now, I 100% would take that same approach to things, you know? Because school is really insanely expensive, for no freaking reason, in my opinion. Like, I don't think that there's enough value there that they're actually giving you for how much you're being charged. So if that's the case, if I'm not truly really getting much value out of this 4 years, other than like just getting the diploma at the end of the day, like, I'm only gonna work just hard enough that like I can make sure that I have enough credits to actually just graduate and get that diploma. Like exceeding, like really burning yourself out and trying to exceed is just like not going, that's not really necessarily gonna help you. Like, the person that you could apply for the same job as someone who's just like did what I did and just sort of coasted by, just did the bare minimum. And I have gotten, this is not trying to be a humble brag, but I'm just trying to use this as like maybe to put things in perspective. I have gotten every single job that I've ever applied for first go. And I want to stress that I'm not the most book smart individual you're ever going to meet. I skipped a lot of classes. I just showed up. I did enough to pass the exams. And I have a degree. What is my degree in? Oh my God, dude. I fucking forgot what my degree in was for a second. Because it hasn't been relevant, like, at all. Like, I'm a communication studies major. What does that even mean? I don't even know. Like, it. But I have gotten every single job that I've ever applied for, and I've had jobs in different industries and like different markets. Because what it comes down to is, it doesn't matter how well I did in school or what I studied. All that mattered for any application was that I had a degree. It just showed that I did my time, essentially, and that I was capable of going through 4 years of this thing and like showing up and doing enough tasks, right? It just, that's all it really proves to them, is that like you at least have the bare minimum capability of going through 4 years of fucking hell, right? And you did it. And then the rest of it I would attribute to like being able to, like, I have good reading comprehension skills and I have good writing skills. So I was able to give satisfactory answers on the written part of applications. And then I always knew if I just get to the in-person interview or the phone interview, I just will nail that. And that's how it's always been. So the point I want to drive home is, you could be someone who really dedicates all of your energy and your resources in college to performing well, you know, getting great grades, and so on and so forth, which will of course make probably your family members happy, and it will impress your friends who you're in school with. and then you're gonna go in and try and get a job afterwards, and you're gonna be lined up against some freaking idiot like me who's just really good at like you guys are saying, like he's just really good at yapping, or is really good, who has like good reading and writing reading and writing skills and speaking skills, and like you arguably might stand the same chance of getting in as me, who like did the very bare minimum in college. So what I'm trying to say is, like, in my personal opinion, and again, you're taking advice from an anime guy on the internet right now, so just keep that in mind, take it with a grain of salt. But in my personal experience, in my personal opinion, do not burn yourself out on college. It is not worth it, in my opinion. The thing that, in my experience, my experience outside of college has been that companies just care that you have the diploma, and it's just a bachelor's degree. I don't have a master's degree or anything. I just have a BA in communication studies. That's it. I've gotten every single job I've ever applied for first time. You know? So take that as you will. My opinion, don't kill yourself over like trying to get good grades. You know, do enough that you get the degree so that you get your money's worth, because again, college is really expensive, or your family's money's worth, or whatever. But truthfully, your performance in college is not like, no one's gonna check. No one cares. No one's checking. Let me add an asterisk to this. This is different for like certain career attempts though. Depends, I guess, on your career. Like there are absolutely some careers where this is pretty relevant. Like maybe you're in the medical field or something. That's different. If you are in the medical field, my prayers are with you, because that's super brutal. But you do need that good education, and you will have a lot of testing to make sure that you understand things, because it's very important that you do. So that's like different. So there are certain vocations and things that people might be in school for, where that is true and that is relevant. Sorry, I should have thought of that. But again, even then, I've heard stories from people where it's like, yeah, I still wasn't like the best like med student or whatever, but they still like passed all the exams that they need to, and they still have like good paying jobs. So still, it does still kind of apply to a degree as well, from what I've heard. But yeah. But if you're someone who's just in a more general, not like very like trade specific thing, like in my opinion, you can take it a little more easy than maybe society makes you think you have to, or your parents or your friends or whatever. Don't listen. Another thing I would say is like, be careful. If your parents come from an older generation, or you have family member friends from older generations, you're probably going to feel a lot of external pressure from them to do well. And you got to remember that their life experience, their path through life was a very different time than what, you know, a college student today is going through. Their experience where they're like, no, you have to do really well in school, it's going to set you up for life. They were very privileged in the sense that like their generation, that was the process. That was sort of the norm. That was the status quo. It is not. It is an entirely different landscape these days. And they just don't understand that, because that was not how their life went. So it's very hard for them to understand that. So they will put pressures on you, because that's just the perspective they're coming from. And you gotta like, it's why the older generations are so critical of these current generations. Like, oh, like you might have heard this narrative where it's like, oh, the current generations are so lazy and they just don't work hard enough and they don't want it bad enough, and you know, like, oh, they have so much debt and no one has any money and blah blah. It's like, no, that's not this generation's fault, right? That's not their fault. It's not because people are lazy. It's not because people don't want it bad enough or whatever. It's like it's bigger societal factors and economic factors outside of their control. So it's not a fair narrative. It's not a fair pressure to put on people. And I think it leads a lot of people to feeling really burnt out and overwhelmed. So just try to keep that in mind. A lot of the pressure you might be feeling, if it's coming from external forces, is just not fair. It's just not fair. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I wish you the best of luck. You're doing great. Proud of you. And just don't be so hard on yourself. Truly, once you get out outside of college, you'll realize that like it really doesn't matter. Focus on living your life and having fun, and you know, make sure you get your money's worth out of it, or your family's money's worth out of it by getting that degree at the end of the day. But you know, you're not really in the majority of cases. Again, there are certain cases where this is what I'm about to say does not hold true. So just, you know, reflect on what your situation is. But I think for a lot of people, when you're just sort of pursuing some sort of like, I'll just say like quote unquote like general degree, like you're not going to get rewarded necessarily for excelling, for really burning yourself out and like doing the most in college. Because again, you're going to get lined up against someone like me who just can read and write well and talk well in an interview, and you know, and can still go out there and get jobs. So guys, I skipped a lot of classes in college. Not proud of it. But again, I skipped a lot of college, or a lot of classes. I crammed before exams. But that's the thing, is like in a sense, I cheesed it. Like I played the game. Like all that really mattered was that like I passed my exams and stuff. I got the degree. Yeah, don't skip school. Yeah, exactly. Don't act like, again, this is advice coming from anime guy on the internet, so take that as you will. But you can still be successful. But again, make sure you get your money's worth out of it, because it's unnecessarily expensive. Thank you for the question. Best of luck. What was one of your favorite movies growing up? Growing up. Let's see. I remember watching. Was it The Dalmatians or 100 Dalmatians? Was it 100 Dalmatians or The Dalmatians? I don't remember. I remember watching that movie a lot because I liked the car that Cruella de Vil drove. Similarly, what was it called? Like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? I think that was the name of the film. I don't remember. Well, 101? Yeah, 101. Thank you. I liked the car that Cruella de Vil drove. I also liked I think it was an English show movie. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? I don't remember. But I liked the car in that one too. It's just car stuff, man. Yeah, car guys since childhood. Yeah. I liked those ones because of the cars. Yeah, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I liked those movies a lot. I remember liking those movies a lot. I remember liking the Mr. Bean movies too, because he had the Mini Cooper. I like the Mr. Bean movies a lot too. Yeah, those are the ones that I remember. Do I like cars? I love cars. Love cars. Yeah, those are the ones that trying to think back are the ones that jump out to me that I remember. So yeah, those are mine. Thanks for the question. I don't know if you'll see mine, but any advice for a burnt out working adult? How should I deal with it? Because sometimes I have a week of unexpected breakdowns, random hours of the day, and then sometimes consider resigning, but I know I can't. Anyways, love you lots, Ryuji-san. Hope I'll get to catch up on your stream soon. Yeah. So the common theme, the common trend is that like we're just working adults who are burned out. Like I will say, refer to my previous answers because we're already at the 1 hour mark. I could probably rant about this thing all day just because it's just the reality that so many people are facing, and it's really hard out there. And I just want to say that you're not alone. It's hard on everybody. You're doing great. I'm proud of you. Keep going. Remember that the situation that you are in now will not be the situation that you are in forever. Okay? That's one thing to remind yourself of as well. Like, things can and will always get better. It just takes time. It's just part of the journey and part of the process that you're in. Yeah. find your little things in your day that you can add to your day. However much time you can give to that, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, but remember to take that time for yourself because you deserve it and you need it. You know, and break it down if it feels unapproachable, because once you start doing the little thing, usually it's easier to continue doing it. And that applies to like relaxing. That's the thing I want to stress, is like literally the thing that should be bringing you relaxation and personal joy. Sometimes that feels too daunting. So you just got to remember that, accept that fact, and then just do it for like at least 5 minutes. And then you'll find that once you start, it's easier to just sort of settle into that rhythm sometimes. So yeah, best of luck out there. Again, I respect everybody on the grind. You've got this. You can do it. Keep going. I don't have a question in mind, so I want to ask if you could send your biggest, fattest virtual hug, if that's all right. This is where I wish I had 3D. You can't see it, but I am giving the big hug. I wish I had 3D. There you go. Yeah, everybody deserves the big hug. Everyone's doing great. Everyone's doing their best. You can do it. You mentioned that one-on-one interactions with others are difficult. How do you plan to approach the meet and greets at Anime Impulse this weekend? Yeah, oh god, I'm so excited. My first convention appearance is in like 5 days. How do I approach the meet and greets? Awkwardly and with butterflies in my stomach. I'm gonna throw up. My fear is that I will just not know what to say for 60 seconds repeatedly throughout the course of the day. Yeah, an awkward standoff. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm very nervous. I'm very excited, but I'm also simultaneously very nervous. Like, I don't know. But I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be, I'm really excited, so that's gonna carry it. It's just me being really excited to talk to people and meet them, because I think it's gonna be a really cool, unique experience, because like it's just gonna be so different than anything else that I've ever done. So we'll see. I will probably black out. I will probably, I don't even know. We shall see. The one thing I will say is that like my time spent as a content creator has absolutely helped my social skills. I am very much still very awkward, but I am way better and like way better at being sociable than I was before I started this journey. If I didn't go into content creation, 100% I would have continued to have a hard time like talking to people and being sociable and just coming off as like a relatively functioning human being. So there's that at least. But yeah, I'm really excited. So if you are coming to my meet and greet and you're also nervous, don't worry. I am every bit as nervous as you, and we can just be nervous and awkward together, and it's totally fine because there's no pressure to perform at all. I'm saying that so that I establish the bar really, really low for myself. But you can also adopt the same really low bar. You're welcome. Okay, that was for both of us. All right. Hey, Ryoshi, back in November of last year, I used to talk to this guy that ended up liking a lot. He was one of my first friends ever. We met in kindergarten. Oh my god, the childhood friends arc. At first, I looked like he liked me back as well, to the point of him saying "I love you" to me at one point. But then randomly he told me that he texted his ex, which he'd bring up every now and then, which made me upset. So I stopped talking to him. But then around March of this year, he apologized to me. Now a few months ago, I found out that he was talking to another girl. I'm still having a hard time moving on and forgetting about him. What should I do? Oh my god, is this the oblivious? No, because he said that he loved you, so he knows that you like him. And that he liked you at one point. He sounds like that, like, kind of like oblivious, like, person, like, I have anime brain rot, so I'm thinking, like, you know, there's, like, the guy who comes to the girl who has always had a crush on him since childhood, and then asks her for, like, dating advice for, like, the other romantic interest that he's pursuing. And it's just like, oh my god, why are you asking me? Which would be more acceptable if he didn't know your feelings for him or didn't have feelings for you, but this sounds like that's not the case. So that makes it a lot more difficult. Because I would say, like, if he was like the very clueless, oblivious anime protagonist, maybe we can forgive him. However, that is not the case here. It's tough. I've known guys like this too, right? Who like do the thing where they talk around the person that likes them. They talk about like their exes, or they talk about other romantic interests, and want to just like grab them and shake them and be like, do you lack perception? Do you lack awareness? Hello? But it's the thing, like, people do this. There's a lot of people who don't, like, they can't think about like how their actions affect the person like right next to them, you know? Like, there's a lot of people out there in the world who like struggle with that, which can lead to very frustrating and conflicting situations. So that's just the reality. So he might just be one of those people who just like, it might not necessarily be malicious, you know? It probably doesn't come from a place of like malintent. I mean, maybe best case scenario, it doesn't. We're assuming and hoping that that's not malicious. I think that's the best assumption, you know? He's not doing it on purpose. He just doesn't understand how that affects you. And then you said he apologized. So I have to make assumptions here just with the information. Maybe you talked to him about why you said, hey, I don't like that you're doing that. And then so he apologized because probably for him, he probably just didn't even realize that what he was doing was hurting you or why. So I'm going to assume that maybe you tried to talk to him and be like, told him like, hey, I don't like that you're doing this. It makes me feel bad. And then he goes, oh, I didn't realize that. Sorry. And then again, here he goes. So I think that might just be, again, I had to make assumptions here, but if he was doing it again and talking to another girl while you're still trying to move on, it's like, again, he might just be really oblivious to, and like can't process why or how him doing that would make you feel bad. You know, some people just genuinely lack that type of awareness. And it doesn't come from a place of malice. It's just ignorance. But it can be really hard to deal with as the person on sort of the receiving end of that ignorance, right? So in this kind of thing, it's really hard because you can't, the only thing that you can really do is do your best to communicate to that person, whether that's like a partner or a prospective love interest or a friend or whatever. The best thing that you can try to do is just communicate to them and express your feelings and how like certain actions make you feel and why. But then once you've done that, it's really up to that person, like how they take that information and what they do with it, right? Because you don't control that individual. Like, you don't control their life, you don't control their actions. You can tell them how things make you feel, but you can't tell them, hey, do this and don't do this, and expect them to behave that way, because you're not controlling another human being. They are their own autonomous individual. So yeah, really the best you can try to do is, again, make your case, like state your case, and you know, you can make your request like, hey, please don't do this, it makes me feel bad, here's why. And then you just really got to hope that they respect that and honor that information, but you can't control them. And so then at that point, if it's something where it's a repeated pattern of behavior, then you got to really kind of like look at, like, sit down with yourself and be like, okay, you know, this is something that probably will continue to happen just because that's just the way they are, and I got to accept that. Is it worth the hurt? You know, like, oh, I asked him why, and I think I remember him going like, I don't know. Yeah, so again, if that's like the kind of response you get, it's like they probably are just relatively incapable of like understanding. Like, they don't understand why, because to them, they aren't doing anything wrong. You know, they, in their mind, they probably aren't doing anything wrong, and they have a hard time understanding, even when you explain it to them verbally, why. Because they haven't had that experience. A lot of people just can't relate unless they've had that sort of experience themselves. And he probably just hasn't ever felt that way and had that experience. And even if he did, he might not even understand it right away. It might like take him a while to like parse that, you know, experience and like kind of figure out why. And then to him to like thread that together and figure out, oh, and that's why this person was upset when I did this, because they felt this way. It's really hard for a lot of people to like to make those connections and relate their experiences. Like, you know, it's really hard if you're someone who is a little bit more in tune with themselves and a little bit more in tune and perceptive of like how other people feel and things like that. Because there's a lot of it's really hard. There's a lot of people who just literally I feel like they walk around in like a bubble, you know, like ISO. When I'm playing ISO in Valorant and he has that skill that puts up like, it looks like they're in like a little glass case. That's how I think a lot of people are, just exist, and things just bounce off of them, and they just run into people and push them out of the way, and they don't even realize it. They're not aware. It's not malicious. They just exist in their own little glass case, and it's so weird to me because I can't understand that, because that's not my life experience. But there are people out there that just exist that way. So again, you can do your best to communicate things to them, but there are some people who just literally, that it's really hard to get through to them that way. And so you have to try to make that assertion for yourself, whether or not that's like that kind of person, and understand that if they are, that type of hurt is probably going to keep coming back to you, and you have to decide whether or not that's worth it, whether or not that's something that you can deal with, or whether or not that's something you feel like you want to continue pursuing. Because obviously you would love for them to take that information that you give them and change their behavior and change their actions, but like, actions speak louder than words. There's a reason why that saying exists, and patterns of behavior are very indicative oftentimes of like how things will continue to go. And so that's tough. That's really tough, because like there's probably plenty of great things about them that you really love and are attracted to. You know, so it's tough. But like, remember, you gotta like care for yourself first before you can truly care for another person. And if that person keeps hurting you, even if it's inadvertent and even if it's unintentional, like, that will continue hurting you, and it will eventually impact the way that you are able to care for them. You know what I mean? So I remember hearing something that I think is very true, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember verbatim what it is, but there was something about like how relationships don't fail. They often don't fail because of like one single catastrophic event. Like, relationships often fail like they die like a death of 1,000 cuts, small cuts, right? It's when things just continue, small things continue to build up over time, and that's what like leads to things eventually crumbling. And so if for you are uncomfortable by this person talking to exes and talking to other, you know, other people when you're supposed to be their romantic interest, what that does is and especially especially since you've already communicated that you don't like that behavior and why that makes you feel upset, but it keeps happening, you're just, every time that happens, it's going to be another little cut. And what that builds up over time is it builds up just resentment. And then you're dealing with like trying to take care of yourself and healing from all these little wounds that keep happening. And it will reduce your capacity to like, you know, care for that person too, and nurture that relationship. Just something to think about. Something to think about. But I'm sorry that that's happening. Really sucks, because again, like I said, I'm sure that there are like really redeeming things about this person that you really like are interested in and that you really love. And it's tough when you try to communicate with them and it feels like you're not getting through them. That's super hard. So I feel for you there. Best of luck, friend. You've got this. It will be okay. How do you maintain confidence in your work as a creator when all your feedback is online? You have an external support system that helps hype you up. Ooh, I love this. Do I have an external support system? Yeah, I mean, I've got all my friends. You know, I've got my people in Niji who are super supportive and friendly. But even if I didn't have that, it's great to have that. It's super helpful. But even if I didn't have that, I feel like I've been doing this enough time that I'm in a really comfortable spot. The most important thing as a content creator is to like have your own belief in your own work. And don't look to external validation for the stuff that you create. Because if you look externally to tell you whether or not something is something you should be happy with or proud of, you're going to get all kinds of conflicting information, and it's going to be really tough. So you really have to truly, first and foremost, be your biggest fan. That's the thing that matters the most. And it's really hard. It's super hard because we live and die by numbers, and we're always being bombarded with feedback. Some nice and some not so nice, coming from all directions all the time, constantly. One of there's like a handful of sayings that I always try to remind myself of, and it's hard for me with my you know, my sieve of a brain because it all falls out most of the time. But like, one thing that like I remember to tell myself is like, if some rando online is trying to tell me that they don't like something like content that I do or whatever, there's like a saying that I remember hearing, and I always have to paraphrase it, but it's basically like, why would I let someone tell me how I'm supposed to feel about my work? You know, like, why would I ever let someone somebody determine how I should feel about like whether or not I should like my work when they probably don't even like themselves? And I like that saying because it reminds me that like a lot of the time when you're getting bad feedback, it's coming from people who are bitter, right? Bitter at their own life, and that's them coping and projecting, because that's maybe what sort of helps them feel better. Does that truly ever help anyone feel better? I don't know. I think it just is a feedback loop that you're stuck in forever. But I always remember that anytime I receive negative like feedback for something that I personally am already like, oh, this was a good work. Like, I'll never let some rando online tell me how I should feel about something that I made, when that person is probably unhappy with anything they've ever made and is unhappy with their own life, right? So like, I just remind myself of that. And that helps me not give any credence to like all the hate that you get. Knowing how to differentiate hate from actual criticism. Yeah, there's very rarely actual criticism. Actual constructive criticism will come from, you know, friends, and sometimes not even friends, because again, friends are often just trying to be supportive. That's the really beautiful thing that I love about having like my manager here in NIJISANJI, because she like gives me constructive criticism, and I love having that as well. That's something that when you're independent you probably don't have, and so that's one of the really great things that I have now that I didn't have before. So like, remember, like, I like even like today, like adding the background music to the stream for the RyoMondays segment, it was like it didn't even cross my mind. And she's like, she messaged me. She's like, hey, I really love watching all your RyoMondays episode. I'm looking forward to this next one. Have you considered like also adding a little bit of background music to like, you know, just sort of like elevate the feeling? And I'm like, yes, I should do that. So that's like constructive feedback. That's constructive criticism versus, you know, any of the random noise that there is online. So yes, being able to differentiate between those things is very important. But yeah, maintaining confidence in my work is just like, it just boils down to like And you'll know as a content creator. You will 100% know when you work on something and then you push that out and you upload it or whatever. You know whether or not you kind of slacked off and cut corners and you didn't put as much 100% into it as you could have. You know? Because and that's fine too. I do that a lot, honestly, because it's like you sometimes just don't have the mental capacity to like commit to making the thing the most perfect polished thing you possibly ever could. There's this really weird balance in content creation, in my opinion, between like literally maxing something, like min-maxing something and making it like the most perfect, polished, best iteration of something ever with all the bells and whistles and the editing and everything like that. That's sort of the expectation that we have for ourselves and fans probably have for ourselves. And then there's also the reality of like, a lot of us are perfectionists and it's very easy to fall into the pitfall of continuing to like polish something to the point where like you just never end up uploading it because it's never perfect enough, right? You're just like, this isn't good enough, this isn't good enough. And then you just don't end up. So you also have to understand that like, you just have to have a realistic bar set for yourself, or at least this is how I approach things. And again, it's different for other people because there are some people who are absolute beasts who can do that with all their content. And I just am not someone who exists on that plane. For me, my bar is set a little more realistically where it's like, I will have a bare minimum standard that I hold myself to. And I won't put something out that's below that. But I also don't go over the top with like my editing and stuff like that. Cause I also know realistically, like if I fell into that expectation and that process, there would be a lot of stuff that I just would never end up uploading at all because it would just never be perfect enough in my mind. And yeah. So anything that I do put out, that means that for me, it met my standard where I'm like, yeah, I'm really proud of this and I'm happy with this. And it doesn't matter what sort of feedback it receives. It doesn't matter how many views it gets. It doesn't matter what kind of comments it gets. Because I am proud of my work. I'm happy with what I did. And that's where it has to start, in my opinion. It starts and stops with you. Absolutely having an external support system is great because there are times when when we're not immune to getting negative feedback, it does kind of like wear on your mental, and like different people have different mental strengths for sure. Being a content creator is incredibly mentally, emotionally taxing. Trust me. So I'm really lucky to have a really awesome group of friends who I know will always hype up my stuff, and I'll always do the same for them. So that is very helpful too. But yeah, I would just remind like content creators out there, like, this is something I talked about in like episode 1 or 2 of RyoMondays when it was more content creator related as well. But like, remember that you can take the exact same piece of content and you could show it to a person and their feedback probably isn't even going to be related to like how good that content is. It's going to be more influenced by how they're feeling in the moment. You take one timeline where you show it to one person and they're having the time of their life recently. Stellar year. Got the job they want, got romantic partner, whatever. They're having a great time. You're going to show them that work. They'll be like, yeah, this is great, man. Awesome. I like this. This is cool. Good job. Alternate universe. You show that same piece of content to that same human being and they've been having a shit year. Lost their job, lost their romantic partner, love interest, whatever. They're not going to have as good of feedback. They're going to be like, I don't know, man. This is fine. It's whatever. Or they might even say like, this sucks. I don't like this. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the content. It has almost entirely to do with how they are feeling in life. So that's the thing that I always remind myself is that like, it's less reliable, Your confidence really shouldn't be based on other people's feedback because oftentimes the feedback that you get is not related to the work that you did. It's related to how that person's feeling. So just your assessment of your work should come from like how you feel about it. Did you put the effort in? Do you like the end result? And that's where it should start and stop, in my opinion, personally. And again, like I said, like don't let random people on the internet tell you how you should feel about something. because they probably, if you're getting negative feedback, that person is probably unhappy in their own life. Why would I let someone tell me whether or not I should like my stuff when they don't even like themselves in that moment? Doesn't make sense. It's not worth it. Thank you for your question. Best of luck. I'm here for cat wisdom. Can you ask your cats about meow? When meow mew, what should I do about... Didn't I already read this one? I think I read this one already. Hi, Lady Ryonan. As Sir Ryonan's on the other cat tree now. He's further away. What do you have to say about this? No, you're gonna squirm around on your back and look cute. And let me pet your belly. Is that your answer? Yeah. Yeah. You're just being cute. And now you're play biting. You're so good, girl. I love you. Ow. We've hit petting aggression status. Ow. Hi, Ryoma. Got any fashion tips for a fashion noob? Oh my god, yeah. I could like ramble about fashion for a while. Fashion tips for a fashion noob. If you're like, I have no idea where to get started and I want to start building a wardrobe for myself, look up like capsule wardrobe. Look up like Google search like the idea of a capsule wardrobe. That's pretty cool. And if that's even too daunting, then I would just say like just get your basics, right? Get some basics that you could just really love and feel comfortable in. Because I think the thing with like fashion is like it has to start with like whatever feels comfortable. And for most people, that's just basics, right? So get like a t-shirt that you really like. Get a couple t-shirts, black and white, you know? Those basics are gonna build a lot of outfits. You just need like a black shirt and a white shirt. Very simple, nothing crazy, really easy to make a lot of different outfits with those colors. Get your basic pair of like jeans, get a basic pair of pants, basic pair of jeans that you like, that you feel comfortable in. Get a pair of sweat shorts or joggers that you feel comfortable in. Get a some sort of top for layering. So either a hoodie, like a comfortable hoodie, or if you don't like hoodies, like I don't love hoodies, I tend to opt for crew neck sweaters, so it could be a crew neck sweater. And get your pair of shoes that are comfortable. And that's it. Like you just have those basics, and you really only need like one or two colors in anything. And you already have like, so like for example, if you had a pair of, so you have your two t-shirts, right? You have a white one and a black one. And then, so if you only had like one pair of pants, one pair of shoes, and then a black shirt and a white shirt, that's already like two different outfits that you could make with that, right? You could have sneakers, pants, white shirt, sneakers, pants, black shirt. Two outfits right there. If you add the sweater, the top into the mix, you know, that's a couple, again, that's another one. Like you could have the white shirt underneath or the black shirt underneath with your hoodie. Like again in like a neutral color, and then there's another outfit. If you have two hoodies in different colors, or a crew neck and a hoodie, again, then you can see how it like continues to build out from there, and you have a bunch of different outfit combinations already. And again, if you focus on like more neutral colors, like it makes it a lot easier to mix and match. Yeah, I cannot stress enough how good, like a good pair of like denim jeans and a white shirt and like black or white sneakers, and then like a top, like a sweater of some kind, like that's such a good simple look that I think a lot of people would be comfortable in, you know? Yeah, blue, white, navy, always great. Yeah, like blue, black, and white, very easy. Like they just visually are appealing and very easy to put together. So like your base essentially is like your denim jeans. I prefer light wash, but you can really choose any like shade of denim blue that you like. I prefer white wash because I like the way that it looks with a white shirt. And then a black pair of shoes and a white pair of shoes. Black shirt, white shirt. Maybe like a gray hoodie. And then you just have, that already builds out a bunch of outfits right there that are really easy to put together. False. Best color combo is red, white, and blue, baby. You know what? Aya is so right. That's actually so true. Honestly, though, actually, unironically, she's right. Because you get like a red hat, like a red cap, like a red baseball cap. I have a red baseball cap, and it just like adds that little extra touch of color. But I sometimes I like get hesitant to wear it because I'm wearing my light wash denim with my white t-shirt or my white like tank top, and I really want to add the hat into the outfit because I like the color pop. But then I'm just a walking American flag, so I don't know. I feel very self-conscious about that. but yeah. Remember, you already have some of these basics in your closet. You just have to say, yep, exactly. And that's the thing is like, again, for like fashion people or fashion noobs, sorry. Yeah, like you probably have these basic pieces already, which is really nice, or they're very easy to acquire very cheaply, which is great. So yeah, it's less about when you're trying to like figure out how to put together a closet. It's less about buying new things, and it's more about looking at what you have and figuring out how to like, how do these pieces actually go together, and how do I wear them in certain ways? Again, another really easy thing is like the rule of thirds, right? Is also another thing to just like familiarize yourself with. That can be helpful too. So like pants, you know, shirt. So like this is like 50-50. It's like half shirt, half pants, right? Versus like what you should try to go for your silhouette. This is like silhouette is you should try to make your silhouette like follow the rule of thirds, where it's like this, like I did not draw this very well. This should be even longer probably, but like 1/3 should be your top and 2/3 should be your bottoms, because what this does is it sort of like elongates your silhouette. It makes you look taller, but it's also just visually more interesting, right? Yeah, I don't know how to explain it super well, but basically when your eyes, and this is the thing for like untrained eyes, like they will look at an outfit that's 50-50 and they'll be like, yeah, that looks fine. But like a lot of time people like will be like, oh my god, that person looks like, there's something about just the way that person's dressed and I can't put my finger on it. It's probably because they have a better silhouette and a better understanding of like the rule of thirds, and their outfit just like shows that off better. So understanding. So for what that means for people is it means like tucking in your shirt. It means wearing like high-waisted pants. I think about this a lot for like guys, especially because so much of like men's clothing is regular rise pants, and you just don't really see like modern men's pants are not cut with like high waists. So that's why I buy a lot of women's pants, because like I can get the high waist right there, where you want it to like basically come up to your like the top of the pant should like come up to your belly button. Most guys stuff is like an inch or two below that. And so what that ends up doing is when you're a guy and you're wearing your pants, it just like gives you that 50-50 of like silhouette, you know? Because the pants waistline, the way that they're cut is like down here, you know? And it doesn't look as good. Like you get like actual high-waisted pants, you know? I cannot draw. Save my life, bro. And get yourself some high-waisted pants. This looks so bad. I can't fucking draw, man, but you get what I'm saying, right? High-waisted pants are awesome. And then, you know, you want to do whatever manipulation you can to make your top that you're wearing appear shorter. So for guys, that means tucking in your shirts, or buying a shirt that's already like cropped, right? It's kind of become a little bit more popular recently. Like the cropped cut, like boxy fit shirts have become a little more popular, so you can just buy them off the shelf that way. But if you don't have that, just tuck your shirt in. And a lot of guys, I think, are like, ah, dude, I don't know, man. That's so lame. Tucking in your shirt. I'm not trying to look like a grandpa. It's like, boy, grandpas have the most fashion of anybody, honestly. Like the don't care grandpa style, honestly, is like the best. Like they're not even trying and they're winning. You know what I mean? So don't hate on grandpa style, first of all. Like they literally not even trying and they're just like the most fashionable people. But yeah, there's this weird aversion with guys fashion, and I don't know what, I don't understand it. But there's like a weird aversion to like tucking in shirts and wearing like shorter cut shirts and stuff, and I don't get it, especially because like I feel like plenty of guys out there are a little bit self-conscious about their height, right? Because for guys, everything is bigger is better. So then why would you create a silhouette with your clothes that makes you look shorter, right? Why would you create a silhouette where, like, you know, because if you have a longer, if you are 50-50, and some guys even go more where their shirt, like, honestly, they get like longer cut shirts, so it's covering up even more of their pants. This makes you look like you have really short legs, and it makes your whole entire silhouette look shorter. So that's something else to just think about as well. So again, a lot of people will have these basics in their closet already from some point in their life where they have probably jeans and they have t-shirts, you know? So it's not about buying new ones. It's about taking the pieces that you probably already have and then wearing them in a specific, with intent, is what I'm trying to say. You take those pieces you already have and you wear them with intent, and it automatically elevates your style. So again, try to wear your pants with a higher waist, you know, use a belt if you need to, tuck your shirt in, crop your shirt, whatever. Yeah. I saw someone else comment sandwich method, which is also really great. If you're not sure how to like pair colors together, sandwich method is really easy. There's sandwich method, which is basically like you have one color, just say you have like white t-shirt, then you have blue jeans. So sandwich method is literally you create a sandwich, and then you'll have white sneakers, right? This is a sandwich. White with the color in between. You can swap out, you can get like a pair of like dark wash pants. You know, you swap that out and you get a pair of like black trousers. You know? Again, so like your capsule wardrobe might have like blue jeans and a pair of black trousers. You know? You can swap that out. But basically, sandwich method is like that. Again, it also works the other way. You know, you have like, you know, this is like a black t-shirt. Black t-shirt. So then you go with black shoes. You know what I'm saying? Hi, Lady Ryoma. How are you? Do you try to apply these tips to business casual office wear? My style is like smart casual, I think is the way it would be described. So yes. The other thing, and then so like if you're trying to do like business casual / office wear, again it sort of becomes about the texture. Not my galaxy print pants trauma, guys. The other thing you start to learn to focus on is like texture and materials, right? Because there's different materials will give off sort of a different like sheen, for example. So like natural, like organic materials like cotton and linen and stuff have like a very different look than something like polyester, for example, which is a man-made, you know, synthetic thread. They have a different look, they have a different feel. I really love my organic things, so like again linen and cottons and linen cotton blends. I like the look that they give off. I as well as the feel. And you start looking for textures to elevate your outfit. For example, the polo shirt, right? I used to work for Target. My first job ever was actually at Target. And what's really iconic? How do I draw a polo shirt? What's really iconic? When you're walking around Target, it's the employees wearing the polo shirt, right? The red polo shirt. And so we often associate polo shirts as being sort of like a business shirt, but the problem is, like, you put on a polo shirt like this, and again, you're trying to dress up for like business casual office wear, and you just look like a big box store employee, like retail employee. So the way that you combat this is don't buy a red one, first of all, or a blue one. The way that you combat this is you get like go for something that has, you can still wear. I actually wore this to Japan when I went to the office with Denauth, and I wore this on the day that we were meeting a bunch of staff for the first time. And it's I don't know how to draw this. This is gonna be too hard to draw. The polo shirt that I wore was a waffle weave texture, and I don't know how to draw this. You can just search waffle weave. The point being that it was a polo shirt. It had the very iconic polo shirt collar, but like the actual texture and the look of it, like had so much more visual interest because of the waffle weave texture. And it was also more of a slim fit one. So it had, you know, it has like cuffed hems that are a little bit tighter at these areas. So like, you know, more on the fitting around the arms. So it kind of changed up the very boxy silhouette as well. An artiste, do you like my art, Nova? And of course I tucked it in and I wore it with pleated trousers as well. So you take pants and then again you add visual interest because you have pleats on the pants. Really important versus like flat front pants. So that's when it comes to like styling like business casual and stuff, it doesn't have to be boring. Like look for creating interest in your visual interest in your outfit through textures and through the materials. In my opinion, cotton gives off like cotton materials or linen gives off of just a very much more appealing visual thing. It doesn't look, because like with like polyester and other like synthetic things, like they look almost shiny and like it's very obvious that it's like a man-made synthetic. I don't know. It just doesn't look as good in my opinion. So those are some tips for like the business casual office crowd, in my opinion. Again, focus on silhouette, focus on textures, focus on materials. But again, if you're a fashion noob, just go into your closet. You probably have a pair of pants, like some jeans or even like some sweatpants, work fine, like and t-shirts and stuff. And just think about, for when you're a noob, just think about colors. Focus on the sandwich method that someone mentioned. The other thing too is you can do sandwich method. Another thing that you can do is light, medium, dark. This is another thing to remember, is light, medium, dark. Light, medium, dark. So you can create an outfit that is like, for example, a lot of blue. Blues is just a very like easy, visually appealing color to style. So you will have one, you can wear an outfit that has a bunch of blues in it, but you don't want the outfit to be comprised all of the same blues, right? You don't want an outfit that's like this, like it's all monocolored, you know? It just looks really weird if it's all matching shades. So you would do something instead where you would have your like, you'd have like your blue jeans, right? And then you would have like maybe your shirt on top of that. Maybe, I don't know, for the sake of this one, I can't fucking draw, bro. For the sake of this one, you'd have your button up. Work with me here, okay? But the button up is a different shade of blue. And then maybe I really love like white, like you'd have like a white tank top or a white t-shirt underneath that, right? And then you can have like a blue cap to round it out. How do I draw a cap, chat? I have no idea. This is purple, by the way, but just imagine looks like a beanie, whatever, fuck it. But imagine that's like a different shade of blue. You know what I'm talking about? And then you can go sandwich method here with some like white shoes. And so you have different colors. That's you pick a theme, you pick a color theme, but you have different shades of that color. Okay. But it does not have to be the same color as well. Like again, light, medium, dark means that like light, medium, dark can be like this, like maybe you have a white shirt. This is your light piece, right? And then you have, again, going back to like your blue jeans, like your jeans are going to be like blue. And that's your medium, and then maybe you have black shoes, dark, light, medium, dark. And it can also be I'm a huge fan of like earth tone stuff. A lot of things in my closet are like browns or creams, so like you know, cream shirt, whatever. And then get your like brown pants, you know. And then from there, you know, maybe black loafers or something like that, you know, light, medium, dark. And it doesn't have to go like light, medium, dark in the sense that like the top is light, the pants are medium, the shoes are dark. You can mix and match the order. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you have 3 pieces, standout pieces that are all of different like color temperatures, I guess, right? Light, medium, dark. That's another thing to think about. So that's easy for fashion noob. Just be like, okay, do I have a piece that's light and then one that's darker than that one and then one that's even darker than that one? Yes. Okay, cool. Probably good to go. So yeah, fashion noobs, focus on your basics. Think about maybe building a capsule wardrobe and searching what that means if you don't know what that means. Sandwich method and light, medium, dark, or monochrome but just different shades of the same color. You want your basics. That's English. Sandwich, light, medium, dark. And what was the other thing that I was saying? Oh, monochrome, but different, but diff shades. Guys, I'm not using my stylus pen right now, so there you go. This is what trying to draw with a mouse looks like. Oh yeah, texture and stuff is more. This is more advanced. I would say texture and material. This is more advanced. So if you're a noob, focus on this. Basics, sandwich method, or light, medium, dark method, or mono but different shades. And then once you're into the more advanced stuff, then you can start thinking about texture and whatever. Oh yeah, also rule of thirds. Rule of thirds. Totally English. Sick. Yeah, remember your silhouette too. Your top half should only make up 1/3 of your outfit, of your silhouette, and then your bottom should make up the other 2/3. Silent, welcome to the Ronin. Thanks for the member. Thank you. Yeah, rule of thirds is huge too. Think about your silhouette. Oh my god, thank you for the 5 gifties. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Thank you for sharing those with the community. Thank you. I hope you got sniped by the gifted membies. Let's go. How to make friends on the internet? The internet is a scary place. Real. Be careful. Protect yourself first. How to make friends on the internet? Well, it's kind of the same thing as most things. Like, find a shared interest that you're passionate about and that people are passionate about. Remember to protect yourself. Be careful of oversharing as well. Because it's really exciting to finally like make friends with people, but like just be careful about oversharing, because like you don't know whether or not those people are actually your friends for a while and whether or not you can trust them with your deepest, darkest secrets. Because you might accidentally overshare and then realize that person isn't as good of a friend as you thought they were, and then you're very nervous, and then that makes you more nervous to make more friends or whether or not you can trust people. So don't traumatize yourself with trust issues right out of the gate as well, I would say. But yeah, the internet's a scary place, but it's also, you know, one of the places where it's easy-ish to find people who have shared interests as you. And connect with people through like games and stuff, and or whatever you guys are fans of. But yeah, it is a scary place, but remember that a lot of people are also looking for friendship, and just remember to not overshare and protect yourself. There you go. Best of luck out there. Do you know our Lord and Savior Hatsune Miku? I do. I have so many like Miku figures. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like 8. You have like 7 or 8 scale figures right now. No, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got 8. I don't know. I probably have like $1,500 worth of Miku figures sitting in front of me in my display case. And then I retweeted like Wallhack, which is like a mouse pad or like gaming accessories brand. I retweeted, they just teased the other day their Hatsune Miku collab glass mouse pad that will be coming out at some point. I think it's only a JP region release though. I really want it. I want it. Wait, Ayo, yeah, it's on my Twitter, Nova. I retweeted the promo image that they dropped like yesterday, I think it was, or the day before. I need it. It looks really good. I know. More reasons to live in Japan. More reasons to live in Japan. How do you feel about the Kagamine twins? Pretty cute. Pretty cute. Some of their songs I really like on like the ones where on Project Diva with them. Living in America sucks so bad. Yeah. Another reason why I wish I lived in Japan. Is my favorite Vocaloid Miku. Yes, I am aware. How do you personally riz someone? Guys, I do not riz people. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. Ryo Riz is real? What does that even mean? Negative Riz, negative aura. Yeah. I'm sorry if the twins aren't your favorite. We can no longer be friends. Oh no. Friendship is over already. Oh no. This is tragic. We haven't even played card games yet. There we go. I challenge Nova to an MTG duel, and then we will determine whose Vocaloid Oshi is the supreme choice. We'll settle this on the battlefield. Okay. How do you personally riz? I just don't. I don't know. I don't riz. I'm not out there trying to riz people up. Listen, I'm old and disillusioned, okay? Ryohio, Ryoma, and Ronins, I'm asking for love advice. There's a guy I'm interested in, but I don't know how to say that I like him. I'm too afraid to be straightforward and scare him off. Also, he's reading this right now. Just kidding. Oh my god, there is. But seriously, this person is my colleague, and I only see him once a week at work. I do give signals like ask him for lunch every time, but on guy's perspective, how do you know if someone's interested in them, Ryoma Sensei? Okay. So If you name any other TCG, I'd be fine. Yeah, but I don't know any of the other TCGs. I'm nerfed, bro. It's the only one I know. You'll have to teach me the other ones. This is okay, no, seriously, for this one, from a guy's perspective, how do you know if someone's interested in them? Listen. Guys are dumb. We're dumb. We're dense. We're dumb. Truthfully, if you are trying to get across to a guy that you're interested in him, you have to actually be really straightforward. So I think, yeah, I understand where you're like, I'm afraid to be too straightforward and to scare him off. But truthfully, he's not going to get it unless you are straightforward with him. Like, you kind of have to, it kind of has to reach that point of being all in or not. And then he'll be able to decide whether or not that is an interest that he wants to pursue with you or not. The problem is, like, you will waste so much more time and energy trying to drop little hints and give signals and stuff. Only to never really truly get an answer from him because he just doesn't understand that that's like what you're trying to communicate. Yeah. When it comes to talking with guys in this day and age, like, just assume that they're really stupid. Sorry, fellow guys, but that's just the way we are. We're super dense about that kind of thing. There's also a lot of, like, okay, so that's one thing, super dense. Another possibility is, like, there's a lot of, like, self-doubt. There's no way they see me that way. You know, I don't want to make assumptions that that's how they see me that way, because then it would be awkward, lead to a misunderstanding. There is, I don't want to assume that they see me that way because I don't want to be weird and make things awkward and be a creep or whatever. So yeah, be direct. Yeah, you have to be direct towards guys these days because some guys, they just don't pick up on the signals. For some guys, they're too afraid to make the assumption that you like them because of potential negative consequences that might arise from that. So it helps to be direct so that they know, oh, okay, so yeah, so this is where we're at. So then I can sort of like reciprocate, you know. It's okay. It's more safe for me to start reciprocating those kind of signals, and you know, talking with you that way. You just gotta let them know it's okay. But yeah, like, I accidentally went on a date with someone one time and I thought we were just hanging out. Yeah, like it's really hard. So the safer bet when approaching a guy, for the most part, in my opinion, the safer bet is to just be more direct than you might think that you need to be. So be direct, make your intentions clear, and then that will allow the guy to then be like, oh, okay, so this is the scenario I'm in. Let me parse my feelings for this person and how I want to approach the scenario, because it might not be anywhere in their psyche up to that point. And if it was, then that's great, right? Because if it was, maybe they're coming from the position of they also like are interested in you too, but they just really aren't sure. And the hints that you're dropping, they just don't know how to interpret them, or whether or not it's okay for them to interpret the way that they would really hope that they can interpret them. And then if you give them that clear signal, then they go, oh, great. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've been interested in you too, you know? So you don't really know. You guys got to crack the rock open that is a guy, and then see where they've been at up until that point. They might not have been thinking about it at all because they just are dumb and dense and didn't realize, they did not pick up on the hints at all. Or they were thinking about it already and they just weren't sure if it was okay for them to think of it that way, you know? And then you kind of give them like, yeah, that's what I was doing, you know? So off the top of my head, that's sort of my thought process on that and my advice. Mm-hmm. Would you consider coffee at my place as hints for further progression in the relationship? Like, objectively, yes. But again, like when it comes to guys, like you literally can have guys who would be like, oh sure, and still not think anything of it. Like those kind of people do exist. And it goes both ways too. Like I think like you could the same could be I mean we're referring about guys because that was the question the way it's framed, but like it goes both ways too. Like there are definitely like some women who you could just be like, hey, coffee on my plate, and they're like, yeah, super platonic friendship sort of thing, not think anything romantic or otherwise of it, right? So like it goes both ways too. But yeah. It's me, I'm guys. Yeah. Sometimes hints are too vague. Yep. Or subtle. I'm also good. Yeah. So it's just hard these days, man. It's just hard these days. Everybody's super scared of you know, just having your social life canceled, you know? So I think there's also a lot of fear. So again, it just helps to be clear and direct because people are afraid of misinterpreting things and taking things the wrong way. And I think rightfully so. I think that's a valid concern. So just be direct. You can say something super unsubtle and a lot of decent guys will still actively ignore it, to be careful. Yeah, that too. But I have to assume that if you're doing something unsubtle, it means that you are still kind of in like, it's unsubtle, but you're dropping a hint in a less subtle way. And it's like, again, so truthfully, if it's something that you want to pursue that like as a love interest, it really does help to be more direct. You know, that's not super fun and it's not like super romantic or anything like that, you know, and it's not like, oh man, I really wish they would like pick up on my feelings, you know, and you know they start reciprocating that way, and it just sort of like is this very beautiful blossoming thing. And it's like of course that's like ideal, but like these days I feel like that's harder to happen. It's harder for it to happen that way, so you gotta determine what you want and how bad you want it. And sometimes in some cases, like if the dropping the hints thing, you don't feel like it's working, like shift maybe to a more direct approach. Consider that. Consider doing that. It's hard out there, man. You know? Hi, this is my first time watching a VTuber stream. Is there anything I should know coming into this, or should I just enjoy the ride? Buckle up. Get that seatbelt on. Like tray table and seat back in upright positions. Cinch that seatbelt really tight, and then just hold on because you're in for a roller coaster. Thank you for your question. Best of luck, friends, in your pursuits. It's tough, man. But again, you know, the way I think of it is like when you drop hints, especially more subtle ones, sometimes even less subtle ones, the problem is that like you understand that you're probably setting yourself up for like playing the long game, and you just have to decide, because like the problem is sometimes like keep a read on yourself of whether or not you're approaching that point where you're getting frustrated and resentful, because you don't want, if there's someone that you like, you don't want to start making yourself feel resentful towards them because they aren't picking up on your hints, because that's not necessarily their fault. It's not necessarily anybody's fault, but it's just that hints in the day and age that we live in, like hints are like, it's hard. Some people just don't get them because they're dense, and some people see them but just are like, I don't think it's safe for me to interpret them that way. They're scared of like the consequences of if they are misinterpreting it. So you don't want to build up like resentment over time. And if you are starting to feel that way, like I just wish you would get it, it's probably time to switch to a more direct approach and go after the thing that you want a little more clearly. That's my suggestion. Best of luck. What the? Oh no, it's like confused me. How do you deal with burnout? Like if it was a special interest you had for maybe like years, you just don't feel the same excitement for it anymore at this particular moment. I've been through this a lot of times, and the thing that I personally in my experience have found has helped is like you just have to step away from it for a while. Like it doesn't help to try to force yourself to enjoy the thing. You know, you're like, man, this thing used to be so good, I used to have so much fun with this, I used to get so much joy out of it. Like if I just keep trying to like find that again, it rarely, in my personal experience, helps. Because I think like you sometimes reach this point where you are you're in the nostalgia phase of it. You remember how the thing was when you first encountered it, when it was very fresh and new. And you're always, and what you have to realize is that like all your experiences past that point, you're always trying to compare it to that initial nostalgic like feel, and it's just never gonna quite be the same over time. And so the only way you can kind of get close to that you're longing for nostalgically is to step away from it for a while, so that when you do come back to it, it is somewhat closer because you were away from it for a while to you kind of have more of that like fresh encounter feeling with it again. That's the thing that I personally have only ever found really helps with that. Instead of just trying to like force yourself to enjoy the thing when you're burned out on it, because you'll be engaging with the thing and you're like, but why doesn't it feel like it used to feel? And you got to recognize that that's nostalgia that you're after, and you can't really recreate that outside of like being separated from it for a while, at least for me, you know. So that's how I have found it. You just gotta step away from it, you know. I guess for me, a good comparison or analogy is like with games, you know. It's like what's a good example? Like let's take like the battle royale genre for example. Like battle royale genre, I often talk about how BR games are like my favorite type of games. And it's always, but there's so many BRs that have come out, and I think a lot of people, there are plenty of people who say they like battle royale games. It's why so many dev companies tried to make battle royale games, and why we've gone through so many BRs that have failed, right? Like there was the whole battle royale game boom, and everyone was like, oh, I want a good BR. And then a new one will come out and people will play it and they'll be like, oh, this is fine. But then it dies after a few months. And then another one come out and they'll be like, it's just not, you know, I want a BR game. And another one comes out and then they play that for like a few months and then that game dies, you know, and it just keeps repeating itself. It's because we're at that point where we are just nostalgic for the first BRs that came out. We are nostalgic for the experience of like when PUBG came out, when H1Z1 came out, when Apex first came out, when Fortnite first came out. We are nostalgic. We're chasing the nostalgia, but you can't recreate that, you know? Yeah, and so it's kind of the same thing. So like, for example, if BR has dropped off the face of the planet for like 5 years, and then a BR came out again, it would probably do much better than any of the BRs that have been coming out in the recent years, right? Because then we've been away from that experience long enough, and the feeling of nostalgia will have grown so strong that then if a BR came out again after no BRs were around, then it would do great probably. So you just got to step away from the thing, even if that feels bad, but it will make the return to it more satisfying, I think. Best of luck though, friend, because burnout sucks. How to be a Ronin like you? Any tips? Hee hee. I don't even know how to answer this one. Become Olge. There you go. How do one be demure? Oh my god. In order to be demure, you must become very mindful and very cutesy. Very modest. Very demure. Hi, Ryoma. Sometimes we feel fashion tips like if you're short, avoid wearing maxi skirt and low-waisted bottoms because it makes you look shorter and stuff like that. Do you think it's better to follow these advices since they're actually pretty much right, or is it better to just wear whatever you want, even if it doesn't fit the body type we have? I mean, truthfully, the answer is like, the only right fashion is the fashion that you're happiest with and they're most comfortable in, right? So that's the most bottom line truthful answer is like, truthfully, wear whatever makes you happy and whatever you're comfortable in, because that's the thing that matters the most. Is that like, because the thing to remember is when you go out, if you're worried about how other people perceive you and things like that, remember that everybody is so preoccupied with themselves and so busy with whatever shit they're going through in their life, they're not really truly paying attention to you, and they're not going to remember the next day what you were wearing anyway. So wear whatever is comfortable and lets you get dressed and makes you feel good. That's ultimately how you feel about yourself is the thing that matters the most. You know, and again, just healthy reminder that I always encounter is that whenever I go to the grocery store, there's always that person standing in the middle of the aisle who has zero self-awareness that they're blocking the aisle for me coming one way and the person on the other side of them coming the other way, and we have to do this awkward song. Now, people are so preoccupied in their own minds and their own problems that like they are not paying attention to you. So wear whatever you want. Whether I went to the grocery store super dressed up or I went to the grocery store in sweatpants, those people are not going to remember. They probably don't even see me. Now, if you are like trying to dress up and you do want to follow the fashion tips and you maybe it's something where you are going to be more perceived. Maybe it's a get together, a graduation, work thing, whatever, where you are actually getting more perceived. Then yes, I would say that the fashion tips like this that you mentioned, which again has to do with your silhouette, like I do think they are really good advice. It really helps. Like I think because I think that the silhouette stuff where it's like don't wear low-waisted bottoms, where I was advocating for like high-waisted pants, for example, with like the rule of thirds and stuff, that's a really great fashion, I guess, hack, you could say, because it's one of those things that will take an outfit and again elevate it and make it more visually appealing, and it will do it in a way that's very simple and that people who are not into fashion won't understand why it looks better, but they will be like, oh, like their brain will go, oh, that looks really good, like they look really put together. I can't tell you explicitly why, I just know that when I look at it, it makes me feel good. And so that's where that kind of stuff like works. The reason why that advice exists is because it is like a thing that it's a very easy fashion hack that just makes your outfits look better to people, you know? So again, like for guys fashion, I'm always harping on this, but like a lot of guys fashion is like I can't freaking draw, dude. A lot of what I see guys wearing these days, the very trendy thing are the like and then, you know, the shoes are like here. Right. These are shoes, by the way. They're the like slim fitting trousers, the smart pants, you know? They're basically like trousers, but they're trousers that are made with like, you know, like the flexible material, the stretchy material, and they're a little more tight fitting and stuff. And this is like what a lot of guys wear right now. And then they pair that with either like a t-shirt or a polo shirt. Maybe it's a polo shirt. Who knows? And this is like what guys think is like good, because it's almost like business casual as well. And this is my personal opinion, but I hate it. The silhouette is awful, in my opinion, right? It's just awful. Because, again, it's that 50-50 ratio. Like, the pants and the shirt are as long, or and then the real crime is when they have the shirt that has the round hem that drops below the waistline. There's something about guys' fashion where they're like, guys are really obsessed with covering up their waistline. I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is, but like guys are like really afraid to show their waist, like waist area. So like a lot of shirts are either square cut that are really long like this, or they're round hemmed, but they like drop in front. I don't know where that's come from or why that's like the thing, why guys are so afraid of that, but like a lot of men's fashion is designed to like cover up the waist. So then you just get this weird silhouette that's like 50-50, or sometimes it's even 60-40, right? In the wrong direction, where it's like the top makes up the longest part of the silhouette and then the pants are the shortest thing. So you see a lot of this is like 50-50 or even 60-40. And then you just make it worse when you have the like the V shape of the slim fit pants. You get this like more wide, because I mean guys, you know, like oftentimes, you know, they're built a little bit more boxy up top, maybe a little more broad shouldered, but then they wear these like slim fitting like smart trousers that create this like taper, and it just looks weird. It's like a weird, unstable looking V-shaped thing. Like your overall silhouette. You know, your overall silhouette just looks like a box on top of like a triangle. You know what I mean? Like this is what your silhouette looks like. It's weird and it's unstable. And you don't know when someone, you know, if you're not a fashion like eye person, like you just like, you look at it and your brain goes, that looks weird. I don't know why. I can't put into explicit terms why that looks weird, but it looks weird to me. And it's probably because this looks like very unstable, right? You know? So yeah, so like the silhouette stuff I think is really important. So again, you know, like if you're short, like, you know, avoid wearing low-waisted bottoms because it makes you look short. Yeah, like because like someone will look at it and be like, if you're wearing something where the top or the bottoms are low rise, and again, so what it does is it just compresses your lower body silhouette and it makes your top look longer. It just looks weird. People don't know why it looks weird. You know, if they're not in the fashion, they wouldn't be able to like put that into terms, but like their brain would be like, that looks odd. So what you want is you want like the very like stable looking trunk, the long stable looking trunk, and then like the shorter top. Because like this silhouette, your brain will see that silhouette and be like, that makes sense, right? I'm blocking it. I just realized. But, you know, you don't want this silhouette as a guy, first of all. You don't want that silhouette as a guy. And then even for like women, again, you don't want the silhouette where like, you know, nobody really wants this silhouette where it's like 60-40 or 70-30, where your top takes up more than your bottom, because then you look really short and it's weird. Like, I always advocate for, you know, like the 1/3, 2/3, you know? And this, to our brain, you see a silhouette like this and you're like, oh, that's very stable. That makes a lot of sense. You have a very stable base and then whatever you put on top. Your brain likes this. Your brain does not like this, because they're like, you're gonna fall over. It's gonna fall apart. That's my advice. Yeah. Nice cereal now. I can't get nice fit, bro. You look unstable out of my head now. Yeah. Yeah, that's just my fashion, you know, thoughts, but that's my suggestion. So yeah, again, bottom line, wear whatever makes you happy, whatever's comfy. But if you are trying to like follow, if you are looking for like rules, quote unquote rules or advice to follow, that is really good advice. I think like avoid wearing like the low waist stuff. Like higher waist stuff I think right now is a little bit more fashionable, a little more fashion forward. And yeah, just thinking about your silhouette I think really helps. You know, wider leg stuff, wider for your bottoms, like wider cut stuff. It's hard to go wrong with, in my opinion. What time is it? It's 11:15. I think I got through like maybe half of these, but I said that today's episode was going to be 2 hours. It's going to be 2 hours, so I also have other things to do. So I think we'll stop here. And we'll continue. Yeah, there's like 20 more questions still that I didn't get. So we got through like roughly half of the questions that I got through this one. So nice. So we have plenty more to address in the next Real Mondays, but I'm gonna say this is the end of this one. Thank you so much for all your questions. I hope that you enjoyed. Next Monday, there will not be a Real Mondays episode. I'm sorry. I know it's devastating. But next Monday, I've got a bunch of IRL stuff that I got to get done. So I won't be having Real Mondays on next Monday. I apologize. So the next week after that, we will return and continue addressing the other questions that you have. So please look forward to that. But again, thank you so much for watching this one. I appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed. Hopefully there was some decent insights in there. But yeah, this was a ton of fun. Thank you. Thank you for your ancient advice. I got you, don't worry. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed. Shout out to the VOD gang. Please enjoy your 2-hour VOD. You're welcome. I'm not going to make the mistake that I always make where I ramble on and yap because I don't know how to end a stream and then we get raided and then I feel like obligated to stay longer. We're going to put this up here. Now everybody knows. Don't raid me right now, okay? We're ending the stream. We're ending the stream. Now there can be no mistake. All right? But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. A reminder that we have, I guess I haven't put up my schedule yet, have I? I have put up some waiting rooms, though. Tomorrow, we will be playing Delta Force with Reimu Senpai. So look forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Some more extraction shooter gameplay. I'm trying to spread the good word of extraction shooters. So we'll go hang out with Reimu tomorrow. We're playing Apex with Twisty on Sunday at like 11 p.m. Twisty's playing Apex, and I'm playing with her and our friend Ariel, so look forward to that as well. I think I'm going to have another waiting room up. I'm just waiting for confirmation, but there will probably be another Apex collab on like Thursday as well. So, sorry, a lot of Apex this week. Sorry. I apologize. But I hope you look forward to it. I'm going to send you over to Reimu right now. Speaking of Reimu, she is playing the Black Myth Wukong game. So I'm going to go raid her. So go hang out with Reimu Senpai. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you all tomorrow, okay? Much love. Many thanks for hanging. I'll catch you on the flip side, okay? Okay, love you. Bye.